Ibrahim Traoré left the small cafe where he worked just as the last rays of sun slipped behind the tall buildings. The evening air was cool, and he wrapped his thin jacket tighter around his shoulders. He walked the familiar route home along the narrow sidewalk, his footsteps echoing against the stone walls. Overhead, a lone street lamp flickered, its light shaky and weak, but Ibrahim did not notice the dim glow. His mind drifted with thoughts of the day's work, the customers he had served, the way the coffee machine had hissed. The small smile of the elderly woman who always tipped more than she needed. As he rounded the corner, he almost missed the boy. The child crouched beside an overflowing trash bin, his back to the street. He was small, no more than 12 years old, and thin, as though every bone in his body felt the weight of the world. His clothes were worn and faded, with tiny holes at the knees of his jeans. Ibrahim paused, drawn by the soft sound of someone murmuring to themselves. The boy held a sandwich in his hands. It was half-eaten, the white bread stained with crumbs, and a smear of something dark at the edges. The boy whispered to himself. As he lifted a bite, his voice barely louder than a sigh, Ibrahim's heart tightened at the sight. He knew hunger. He remembered times when his own stomach had gnawed with emptiness. He took a step closer. "Hey there," Ibrahim said gently, holding up his hand so the boy would not feel threatened. "Are you okay?" His voice carried warmth, the kind he used when comforting nervous customers. The boy froze, his small shoulders tensing. He turned his head slowly, and Ibrahim saw the fear in his wide, dark eyes. "I'm fine," the boy said softly, though his voice shook. He made no move to hide the sandwich. Instead, he hugged it closer as though it were a treasure. Ibrahim crouched low, lowering himself to the boy's level. This was a lesson he had learned long ago. To speak without towering over someone, to meet them where they were. "You look hungry," he said. "I have something you can eat if you like." For a moment, the boy's gaze flickered with hope. His mouth opened as though to ask a question, but no words came. Ibrahim reached into his pocket and pulled out a granola bar wrapped in silver foil. He had saved it from his own lunch, remembering that he had eaten more than he needed that afternoon. He held it out so the boy could see. The boy's eyes widened, but before he could reach for it, his hand shot out, and he cried, "Don't eat that." His voice was sharp with panic. Ibrahim froze, the granola bar still held in his hand. He blinked, surprised by the boy's reaction. The last thing he expected was fear. He lowered his hand slowly. "Why not?" he asked softly. "Is it spoiled?" The boy shook his head, his eyes glistening. He seemed torn between hunger and fear. Ibrahim noticed a small scar on the boy's cheek, as though he had fallen or been hit before. He wondered what stories lay behind those frightened eyes. "My name is Malik," the boy whispered, voice trembling. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you." Ibrahim smiled gently. "It's okay, Malik. I'm Ibrahim. I just want to help." Malik swallowed hard. He glanced at the sandwich in his own hands, then at Ibrahim's granola bar. His fear did not fade. Instead, it deepened. "It's not that one," he said. "That place they make people sick." Ibrahim frowned, curious. "What place? Who?" Malik hugged himself as though cold or afraid. The breeze had picked up, rustling. Scraps of paper across the sidewalk. Ibrahim felt the temperature drop and pulled his jacket tighter. He glanced at the trash bin, then back at the boy. "Where did you get that sandwich?" Malik's lower lip trembled. He looked down at the food in his hand. "Here," he said. "From that corner shop over there." He pointed with a shaking finger toward a small storefront a block away. Its window was dark. The sign above flickered with broken letters. The door hung slightly ajar. Ibrahim looked in that direction. He remembered passing that shop every day. It was old and popular with the neighborhood for cheap snacks and drinks. He had never thought much about its stock. He folded his brow. "Are you saying the food from that shop is bad?" Malik nodded, eyes wide. "Yes. My sister got sick last week. She ate a candy bar from there. She was throwing up all night. The man at the shop said it was because she ate too much. It smelled a trotten. He gave it to her anyway." Ibrahim felt a surge of anger. No one should sell spoiled food, especially to children. He clenched his jaw, but kept his voice calm. Sorry that happened to her, he said, but that's not right. People deserve safe food. Malik's eyes filled with tears. He stared at Ibrahim as though wondering if he would believe. Him, Ibrahim nodded. I want to help. Can you show me what you mean? He gestured to the granola bar. I'll wait for you. Malik hesitated, glancing at the half-eaten sandwich. He took a small bite and then swallowed, grimacing. Watched him, his expression gentle. You should eat, he said, but only if it's safe. The boy nodded and set the sandwich on the pavement beside him. He wiped his mouth with the back of his hand, leaving a smear of crumbs on his fingers. Ibrahim put the granola bar in his pocket and stood up. He held out his hand to Malik. Come on, he said. Let's walk over there together. Malik looked up at Ibrahim. The fear in his eyes flickered, but did not vanish. He slowly reached out and took Ibrahim's hand. Ibrahim felt the boy's grip, weak as a bird's wing. He squeezed gently and led him toward the corner shop. As they approached, the shop's faded sign read, Benny's Snacks in flickering neon. Through the dusty window, rows of candy bars and chips lined the shelves. The door creaked as Ibrahim pushed it open. Inside, the air smelled stale, like old cardboard and something sour. A single bare bulb hung from the ceiling, casting long shadows among the narrow aisles. Behind the counter stood a plump man in a stained apron. He looked up when the bell over the door chimed. His eyes narrowed when he saw Malik. What do you want? The man asked in a gruff voice. Didn't I tell you not to come back without money? Malik swallowed. He shrank. Back behind Ibrahim, the man's gaze shifted to Ibrahim. And who are you, big man? These aren't for charity. Ibrahim held up his hands. I'm not here for charity, he said calmly. But I am concerned. Malik says your food made his sister sick. I want to see how fresh your stock is, shopkeeper laughed. Harsh sound. Listen, I sell what I buy. Some things sit a little while, but it's all food. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. Malik's face paled. He glanced at Ibrahim, his eyes pleading. Ibrahim took a deep breath. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and opened the camera app. He pointed it at the shopkeeper. I want to record what you say, he told the man. People need to know. The shopkeeper's grin faded. He put his hands on the counter. You can't do that here, he said, voice low. Ibrahim stepped forward. Watch me, he said. He turned the phone on and began speaking. Into it. Ibrahim Traoré here. I'm at Benny's Snacks on Elm Street. I've been told some items sold here are expired or unsafe. Sir, can you confirm whether you sell past date products? The shopkeeper's face flushed. For a moment, he looked, as though he would strike Ibrahim's phone from his hand. Instead, he sighed and rubbed his forehead. I'm trying to make a living, he said quietly. I get these cartons from a supplier who just drops them off. Some of the date labels are faded, put them on the shelf anyway, but I wouldn't harm a child. Ibrahim kept the camera rolling. So you admit you sell products without checking. The date, he asked. The man ran a hand over his thinning hair. Look, you want fresh? Go to the big market down the street. I'm a small shop. I do my best. Ibrahim lowered the phone. He turned to Malik. The boy's eyes brimmed with relief. Ibrahim looked back at the shopkeeper. Thank you, he said. I'll share this with the health inspectors. With that, Ibrahim and Malik left the shop. The evening air felt fresh again. The street lamp above them buzzed, but its light seemed brighter now. Ibrahim handed Malik the granola bar. Here, he said. Eat this. It's safe. Malik unwrapped it and took a small bite. He chewed slowly, savoring the sweet oats and honey. Ibrahim watched him. The boy's expression softened, the tension leaving his body. Ibrahim realized that in this simple moment sharing a safe, edible snack trust was born. They walked together toward Malik's hiding place. The trash bin still stood where they had found it, but the world around it felt different. Ibrahim thought of the boy's sister and hoped she had recovered. He thought of how small acts, offering kindness, listening, standing up, could change a life. Malik glanced at Ibrahim and spoke for the first time since they left the shop. "Thank you," he said. His voice was steady now. "Thank you for listening." Ibrahim smiled and ruffled the boy's hair. "Any time," he said. "Anyone deserves a chance." And under that flickering street lamp, two lives connected. By hunger, fear, and compassion began a new chapter, one where safety and hope met on a quiet evening walk home. Ibrahim slowed his steps when Malik cried out, "Don't eat that!" The boy's fear echoed in the empty street. Ibrahim held the granola bar halfway to his mouth. He froze in that moment as though time itself had paused. Single word "don't" held so much urgency that Ibrahim felt a chill in his spine. His heart pounded, not from hunger now, but from concern for the boy. He lowered the bar and folded his hands in front of him. Malik's small chest rose and fell as he struggled to catch his breath. His eyes darted around as though expecting someone or something to appear. The wind whispered through the trash bin nearby, stirring old wrappers and paper scraps. Ibrahim studied the boy's face. Dark curls fell into Malik's eyes, and his cheeks were hollow. Ibrahim sensed a story, deeper than simple hunger, crouched again to look the boy in the eye. "Malik," Ibrahim said softly, "it's okay. You don't have to be scared of me." He offered a gentle smile. Malik blinked, his gaze flickering between the half-empty sandwich on the ground and the granola bar in Ibrahim's hand. "You warned me," Ibrahim continued.
"Please tell
"Me why?" Malik trembled. He wrapped his arms around himself as though protecting a secret. "It's not just that sandwich," he whispered. He lowered his voice, sliding closer so that Ibrahim could hear. "That shop, they do bad things with food." He looked over his shoulder as though afraid someone might be listening. Then he hurried his words. "Tried to eat a candy bar. From there last week, my sister and I shared it. She got sick. She threw up all night. She could not eat for days." Ibrahim felt his mind rush back to that kitchen sink where he once cared for his own younger sister when she fell ill. He remembered the worry in his mother's eyes. He placed his hand on Malik's shoulder in a gesture of solidarity. "I'm sorry your sister got sick." "What happened exactly?" he asked. Malik swallowed. He stared at the cracked pavement. A butterfly tattoo on his wrist faded in the dim light. "Mom was not home," he said. "Dad left long ago. Sister is only 8. She went to that shop. To buy the candy, she had 2 bars. I stayed behind." Malik's voice quavered. He glanced up at Ibrahim, forgot to close the door. "She called me. She said her stomach hurt so bad. I found her on the kitchen floor." Ibrahim felt his breath catch. He looked away for a moment, imagining the scene. The child lying motionless, tears staining her small face. He closed his eyes briefly, then opened them to meet Malik's gaze. "That must have been scary," he said quietly. Malik nodded.
I
"Felt helpless," he said. "I held her hand until she stopped crying." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small ticket stub, a faded receipt from the shop. Ibrahim took it and saw words printed in shaky letters, "Benny Snacks," followed by a list of sweets. The date was last Tuesday. Ibrahim studied the receipt, felt anger rise, but held it back. "Do you think the candy was bad?" he asked. "Did you see anything unusual about it?" Malik shook his head. "It looked fine," he said. "Wrapper was sealed, but it smelled funny. I smelled it before sister ate it. It smelled sour, like milk gone bad." She laughed and said it smelled okay. Then she ate it. Ibrahim nodded slowly. He looked at the half-eaten sandwich on the ground, a meager slice of cheese inside white bread, stale from days of sitting under the store's heat lamp. Ibrahim knew that stale bread could make someone sick, but he wanted proof. "I wish I could see what she saw," he said. "Maybe you can show me the candy wrapper." Malik's hand trembled as he reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out a crumpled candy wrapper, its colors faded and edges sticky. He pressed it into Ibrahim's palm. The foil felt damp and soft, and a smell like old fruit residue rose. "Up." Ibrahim held it at arm's length. He frowned. "It does smell off," he agreed. "Let's keep this safe." Malik nodded, relief flickering in his eyes. He looked at Ibrahim with a new interest. "Why are you helping me?" he asked Ibrahim, crouched again beside him. "Because no one should get sick from food they buy in our neighborhood," he said. "People deserve to eat without fear." He pocketed the wrapper in a small plastic bag he had taken from work, one of those sandwich bags the cafe gave. Out, he sealed it. I'm going to find out why these foods are bad. Will you help me? Malik's eyes brightened. He nodded vigorously. Yes, he said. I know how to tell if something has gone bad. My mother used to teach me, but I'm scared to go back alone. Ibrahim stood and extended his hand. Then let's go together. They left the trash bin behind and stepped onto the cracked sidewalk. The store's neon sign blinked above them, its broken letters casting jagged shadows. Ibrahim glanced at Malik. Tell me what else you know, he said. Malik spoke quickly. He told of the old man who sometimes sold vegetables outside. The shop, how lettuce hung limp and soft, how tomatoes looked dull and bruised. He mentioned how other homeless friends told stories of stomach cramps after buying potato chips there. Ibrahim listened, asking questions. He took notes mentally. Candy bars, sandwiches, vegetables, chips. Each item was a clue. They reached the corner where Benny's snacks stood. A bell chimed as they opened the door. The same shopkeeper looked up, surprise on his face. You again? He asked Malik. Malik swallowed hard and did not answer. Ibrahim stepped forward. I need to ask you some questions about your products, he said calmly. The shopkeeper's eyebrows shot up. He wiped his hands on his apron. I already told you nothing's wrong. Now leave me alone. Ibrahim took out his phone. I'm going to record what you say, he told the man. This is about public safety. The shopkeeper snorted. Do what you want. He leaned against the counter, arms crossed. Ibrahim switched on the recording. He asked the shopkeeper if he checked the dates on the candy bars before selling them, if he inspected the lettuce for freshness, if he stored meats properly. The man answered with excuses. Supplier's fault, labels too small to read, no time. To check, each answer grew weaker. Ibrahim pressed on, calmly but firmly. After a few questions, the shopkeeper's voice lost its bravado. He admitted that sometimes he slipped expired items onto the shelf because they were cheaper to buy. He said if people complained, he removed them, but many people did not complain. Ibrahim clicked off the recording. He turned to Malik. Thank you for your help. Will you be okay waiting outside, he asked. Malik nodded. He felt empowered. By the boy's side, Ibrahim stepped outside and found Malik leaning against the glass window, watching him. It's done, Ibrahim said. We have proof. Now we can call the health department. Malik's face lit up with hope. Ibrahim dialed the number for the local health inspectors, explained the situation, and they promised to send someone within hours. He ended the call and handed the phone to Malik. I want you to hear this, he said. Malik listened as the inspector confirmed they would investigate. They walked away from the shop together. The night sky glowed faintly with city lights. Malik held the phone as though it were a treasure. He glanced at Ibrahim. What will happen next? He asked. Ibrahim looked down at him. Inspectors will come, check the food, and make sure the shopkeeper fixes his mistakes. If he doesn't, they might even close his shop until it's safe. Malik nodded. His grip tightened on Ibrahim's hand. Will my sister be okay? He asked. She will get better, Ibrahim promised. And now fewer people will get sick. Malik looked up, relief washing over him. He let out a breath he had been holding. Ibrahim smiled. You did something brave today, he said. You saved people. Malik's lips curved in a shy smile. He looked at Ibrahim with gratitude. Ibrahim felt a warmth in his heart. He realized that sometimes the smallest voices carry the loudest messages. They continued walking toward Malik's hiding place beside the trash bin. But now the bin did not seem like a place of fear. It felt like where two people met and made a difference. Malik carried himself a little taller. Ibrahim carried a sense of purpose. As they reached the lamppost where they first met, the light flickered again. Ibrahim placed a hand on Malik's shoulder. You're safe now, he said. Malik looked up, eyes shining. Thank you, he whispered. Ibrahim stood a moment longer, watching the boy find comfort in that simple phrase. Then he ruffled Malik's hair and turned toward home. Under the street lamp's trembling glow, two friends walked into the night bound by a warning, a promise, and the hope that together they could change their small corner of the world. Malik woke the next morning to a soft glow of sunlight through a crack in the board where he slept beside the alley wall. He rubbed his eyes and sat up on the torn blanket he had brought from the trash pile. The memory of last night warmed him how Ibrahim had listened, had stood with him, had promised help. He stretched his arms and carefully folded the blanket, then held in his hand the small plastic bag Ibrahim had given him. Inside was the candy wrapper he had found and sealed. He looked at it, thinking of his sister's tear-stained face and the fear in her voice a few blocks away, in a bright office at the city health department. An inspector named Clara Lee finished reviewing the recording Ibrahim had sent the night before. She clicked off her computer, brow furrowed. The man in the video had admitted selling expired candy and stale sandwiches. Clara felt a spark of satisfaction. Proof was rare in these cases. She picked up her phone and called her supervisor. "We need to inspect Benny's snacks today," she said. "I have audio and video evidence. We should act fast." Back on the street, Ibrahim walked with purpose. He left his small apartment early so he could meet Clara and Malik at Benny's Snacks. He checked his watch. It was 8:30. The sun was fully up now, but the air still held a slight chill. He tightened his jacket and made his way down Elm Street. Inside his coat, he carried a notebook, pen, and the plastic bag with the candy. Wrapper at the corner, Malik waited beneath the flickering neon sign. He had cleaned himself up a bit, washed his face in a public fountain, and brushed his hair. He wore a clean shirt Ibrahim had given him. Malik's eyes lit up when he saw Ibrahim and Clara approaching together. Clara carried a clipboard and wore a white coat with the health department badge pinned on her chest. "Good morning, Malik," Ibrahim greeted him. "Clara, this is the boy I told you about." Clara nodded kindly at Malik and crouched to his level. "Thank you for helping," she said. Malik nodded shyly. Clara stood and motioned toward the shop. "We're here to do an inspection, Ibrahim. Would you and Malik mind waiting outside until we finish?" Ibrahim shook his head. "Not at all. Malik, I'll wait right here." He placed a reassuring hand on the boy's shoulder. Malik offered a small smile, feeling proud to be part of something important. Inside Benny's Snacks, Clara knocked and opened the door. The shopkeeper was behind the counter, cleaning the glass case. He looked up, startled by Clara's badge. "What is this?" he asked, voice wavering. "I'm Clara Lee with the health department," she said firmly. "We have evidence of expired products being sold here. I'm conducting an inspection." She showed him her badge and the recording on her phone. The man swallowed and nodded. Clara began her work. She asked him where he stored various items: candy, sandwiches, vegetables. He led her to a small back room with dusty shelves. Clara opened each carton, checking date labels. Some labels were barely visible. She made notes on her clipboard as she examined candy bars, sandwiches wrapped in plastic, and bags of chips. Many were past their printed sell-by date. The shopkeeper sighed and rubbed his forehead. "I run a small business," he said quietly. "I can't afford to throw much away." Clara kept a professional tone. "Food safety is not optional," she said. "If you can't check dates, you cannot sell products that may harm children or anyone else." She noted which items needed to be removed immediately. She then went through the shop's refrigerators, checking meat and dairy. She found a small container of pre-made salad that was warm to the touch and well past its date. Malik watched Ibrahim as Clara's footsteps shuffled behind the door. He felt proud of how brave Ibrahim and Clara were. He shifted from one foot to the other, glancing at the street. A few neighbors passed by and whispered when they saw the health department badge. Later, they would thank Malik for speaking up. Inside, Clara finished her report. She returned to the front counter and said, "You have until the end of today to clear all expired items. We will have to close the shop until it is safe." The shopkeeper nodded vigorously, relief and fear in his eyes. He promised to remove everything he could not verify. Clara handed him a copy of her report and rules for food safety. He accepted them, voice trembling, and Clara left with her clipboard. Outside, Ibrahim and Malik greeted her. "Thank you," Ibrahim said. Clara smiled. "Kids and caring adults make this work possible," she said. "Without your evidence, I wouldn't have had enough proof. Now to keep that wrapper safe for now. It's evidence." She patted Malik on the shoulder and walked away toward her car. Clipboard in hand, Ibrahim turned to Malik. "You did great," he said. Malik beamed. "What happens next?" he asked. Ibrahim knelt down beside him. "The inspectors will come back tomorrow to make sure the shopkeeper kept his promise. If he didn't, they'll shut him down until he can sell safe food." Malik nodded, thinking of children who might now avoid getting sick. "Come on," Ibrahim said. "Let's get you some breakfast." They went to a small cafe run by a friendly woman named Rosa. The front windows were bright, and the smell of fresh bread and eggs filled the air. Rosa saw them come in and waved. Her cafe served simple but wholesome meals. Ibrahim ordered 2 plates of eggs, toast, and fruit. Malik's eyes widened at the colorful fruit salad. As they ate, they talked quietly. Malik described how his sister felt better this morning, her stomach pain had eased, and she even smiled when he told her about the inspection. He spoke of his dreams to go back to school and learn to read above his current grade. Ibrahim listened, nodding and encouraging him. He told Malik that breakfast was on him today. They finished their meal, and Rosa even sent them off with extra bread slices in a paper bag. Malik hugged the bag to his chest, eyes shining. "Thank you," he said softly. Ibrahim smiled and ruffled his hair. "Anytime," he said. Over the next days, Ibrahim checked on Malik and his sister whenever he could. He bought them small meals and helped Malik apply to a local youth program that offered reading and writing lessons. Malik grew more confident each day. He told other children in his alley about safe food and shared tips on checking dates or smelling for spoilage. Meanwhile, the shopkeeper kept his promise. The next morning, Clara returned to Benny's Snacks and found only fresh items on the shelves. She gave him a clean bill of health, but she warned him that future violations would bring the shop's closure. The shopkeeper, humbled by the process, realized that serving his neighbors well could build trust and business in the long term. Word spread quickly in the community. Neighbors praised Malik's bravery for warning Ibrahim. They spoke of how one child's voice and one man's kindness had made their street safer. A small block association formed, meeting weekly to share concerns about broken streetlights, stray dogs, and most of all, the safety of neighborhood children. One afternoon, as Ibrahim walked home, he saw Malik practicing letters on the sidewalk with chalk. He'd stopped to watch. Malik's sister sat beside him, holding up a block letter that Malik had written. Ibrahim walked over and crouched beside them. "That's wonderful," he said. Malik looked up and grinned. He showed Ibrahim the rows of letters he had memorized. "That week, I'm learning fast," he said proudly. Ibrahim nodded. "I knew you would," he said. "You're courageous and bright." He turned to the girl. "How are you feeling?" he asked. The girl smiled shyly and said she was much better. Her belly did not hurt anymore. Ibrahim felt a flush of happiness. He reached into his pocket and handed them the extra bread from Ross's bag. "For lunch," he said. As he continued home, Ibrahim reflected on the chain of events. A boy had cried out in warning, and a man had listened. Together they had held a shopkeeper to account and helped a sister regain her health. They had sparked a community to look out for one another. Ibrahim realized that sometimes the smallest actions, a shared granola bar, recorded confession, a cup of hot coffee, could change lives. That evening, under the same flickering street lamp, where they first met, Malik and Ibrahim sat talking. Malik held his chalk and drew a heart on the pavement. Ibrahim watched, thinking of how hope had grown from fear. The city's lights shone around them, but the lamp's soft glow felt like the brightest light of all. Malik spoke first. "Thank you for not giving up on me." Ibrahim smiled and placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Thank you for trusting me," he replied. They sat together in comfortable silence, two unlikely friends, bound by a moment of warning and the promise to protect the vulnerable through the dark of night and into the dawn. Ibrahim and Malik kept watch over their small corner of the city, proof that compassion, courage, and simple acts of care could turn hunger and fear into safety and safety. A few days passed, and the quiet street where Malik once sat alone began to change. People walked by Benny's Snacks with more confidence now. Mothers who used to hurry past now stopped to look inside. The smell of spoiled bread was gone. Dusty old cartons had been replaced with fresh snacks and neatly stacked fruit. And behind the counter, the shopkeeper, Mr. Benny, stood straighter, dressed in a clean apron and wearing a calm but serious face. It wasn't just the store that had changed. The people had changed too. Word had spread fast through the neighborhood about a young boy who saved others from getting sick. Some said he shouted just in time. Others said he stood up to a grown man without fear. Some didn't know the whole story, but they knew this. A boy named Malik and a man named Ibrahim had made a difference. One sunny afternoon, Ibrahim and Malik were walking back from the small learning center Malik had started attending twice a week. It wasn't a formal school, but kind volunteers there helped kids read and write. Malik held a small notebook under his arm. He looked happier than Ibrahim had ever seen him, his shoulders less tense, his steps quicker. "Did you like the new storybook today?" Ibrahim asked. Malik nodded. "It was about a dog who found his way home," he said. "It reminded me of me." Ibrahim looked at him with a gentle smile. "Because you're finding your way too?" Malik nodded again. "I used to be scared all the time," he said. "Now I feel, I don't know, safe, I guess." Ibrahim didn't say anything right away. He just gave Malik a small squeeze on the shoulder. The boy's words meant more to him than he could explain. Sometimes all people need is for someone to believe in them. And Malik was finally starting to believe in himself. As they passed Benny's snacks, Mr. Benny saw them and came outside. He looked different from before, less grumpy, more calm. "Ibrahim." "Malik," he said, scratching the back of his head. "I've been meaning to talk to you both." Ibrahim stopped. He looked at Mr. Benny, uncertain of what was coming next. "I want to apologize," Mr. Benny said. "I was wrong. I shouldn't have sold that food. Shouldn't have ignored what that boy said. And I definitely shouldn't have spoken the way I did." Malik stood quietly, not quite sure what to say. His fingers clutched the edge of his notebook. "I didn't realize how bad it had gotten," Mr. Benny continued. "But when the inspector came, I started thinking. Then more customers told me they were scared to eat here. I had to face the truth." Ibrahim nodded slowly. "I'm glad you understand," he said calmly. Mr. Benny looked at Malik. "I heard you've been helping the other kids." "Good, that's brave." He paused, then pulled something from his pocket. It was a voucher. "This is for fresh fruit. You and your sister come here whenever you need. It's not much, but it's my way of saying thank you." Malik hesitated. He looked at Ibrahim, who gave him a nod of encouragement. Then Malik stepped forward and took the small paper. "Thank you," he said softly. "That's kind." Mr. Benny smiled for the first time. "I'm learning too," he said. After they left, Ibrahim and Malik walked slowly, the sky now painted in soft shades of orange. "That felt strange," Malik said. "Strange how?" asked Ibrahim. "Like, the bad guy wasn't so bad after all," Malik replied. "Sometimes people do bad things out of pressure or fear," Ibrahim said. "What matters is they admit it, fix it, and try to do better." Malik thought for a moment, then said, "I think I like that idea." That evening, Ibrahim visited the small community hall. It wasn't fancy, but it was where a group of neighbors had decided to meet every week. They had heard about Malik's bravery and wanted to talk about ways to keep the area safer for everyone. Inside, chairs were set in a big circle, where moms, dads, elders, and even teenagers who lived nearby. Ibrahim brought Malik with him. At first, the boy stayed quiet, holding tightly to his notebook. But when a kind older woman asked him to share his story, Malik looked at Ibrahim for support and then stood up. He told the group everything from the moment. He saw the strange smell on the candy too when he warned Ibrahim not to eat the granola bar. His voice was nervous at first, but then it became stronger. When he finished, everyone clapped. A few people had tears in their eyes. One man stood up and said, "You've done more than some adults have in years." That night, the group made plans. They decided to form a neighborhood watch, not just for safety, but to keep an eye on food stores, to help those who didn't have enough to eat, and to teach kids how to spot food that might be unsafe. They agreed to hold cleanup days, cooking classes, and safety checks. Someone even suggested putting up a community hero board at the local library on. Malik's name would be the first one on it. Malek sat close to Ibrahim as the meeting ended. "I didn't think I could talk like that," he said. "You're growing," Ibrahim replied. "And when people grow, their voices get stronger." In the following weeks, the neighborhood started to look different. Trash was picked up more often. Food vendors cleaned their carts more carefully. Children like Malik began to look out for each other. The shopkeeper, Mr. Benny, even offered to teach some kids how to check delivery dates on food boxes. Malik's sister started going with him to the community center. She was shy but full of laughter when reading picture books. She had fully recovered from her illness. She always held her brother's hand tightly when they walked together. And as for Malik, his confidence blossomed. Practiced reading every day. He kept a journal where he wrote about things he learned, people he met, and dreams he wanted to chase. One page read, "I want to become someone who helps others, like Ibrahim." One Saturday morning, Malik and Ibrahim stood beside a new sign posted at the front of the alley. It read, "Safe Zone. No expired food allowed. Report problems to Community Watch." Beneath it, there was a drawing done by Malik's own hand of a child holding a fruit basket and smiling. Ibrahim smiled at the drawing. "That's pretty." "Good," he said. Malik nodded. "It's how I feel now." Just then, another boy ran up to them. He looked scared. "There's a man giving out milk near the bus stop," he said. "But the carton smells weird." Malik didn't even hesitate. Grabbed his notebook, opened it to a blank page, and said, "Let's go check it out." And just like that, a once homeless boy became a protector of others. His voice, once ignored, was now respected. His fear had turned into courage, and the street that had once forgotten him had now made him its hero. As the sun rose higher and the city buzzed to life, Ibrahim followed Malik down the sidewalk with quiet pride. Some heroes wear capes, others carry notebooks. Malik carried hope, and that made all the difference. The sky was soft with morning light as Malik stood near the small garden at the back of the community center. Birds chirped from nearby trees, and a gentle breeze moved the leaves. He held a watering can in his hands, carefully giving drops of water to the tomato plants lined up in big pots. Beside him, his little sister giggled as she tried to copy him with her own small cup. Life had changed for Malik in so many ways. Just a few weeks ago, he was sitting near a trash bin, unsure of who to trust, where to go, or what would happen next. Now, people in the neighborhood greeted him by name. He was part of a team, a helper, a student, and most importantly, someone people listened to. Ibrahim arrived a few minutes later. He had brought fresh bread and boiled eggs for breakfast, packed in a small paper bag from Rosa's cafe. He handed it to Malik and smiled. "You've got a good hand with those tomatoes," he said. Malik laughed. "I'm learning. Me how much water they need. Not too little, not too much." Ibrahim nodded. "Just like people," he said. "It's a little care and they get weak. Too much control and they can't grow. But with the right amount, they become strong." They sat on a wooden bench under a tree. Malik opened the bag and shared the breakfast with his sister. She took small bites, smiling with every one. Ibrahim watched the two of them quietly. The memory of that first night when Malik shouted, "Don't eat that," came back to his mind. What if he had ignored the warning? What if he had simply walked away? But he hadn't. He had listened. And that small moment had turned into something much bigger. Later that day, Malik and Ibrahim walked to the library. A new display had been added to the entrance, the Community Hero Board. On it were hand-drawn portraits of people who had helped their neighborhood. There was Miss Clara, the health inspector; Rosa, the cafe owner who gave free meals to hungry children. And in the center there was Malik drawn, holding a granola bar in one hand and a notebook in the other. Malik stood in front of the board, looking at his picture. He was quiet for a long time. Ibrahim asked, "How does it feel?" Malik looked up and said, "I feel seen." Those words meant everything. For years, Malik had lived as if he were invisible, just another face in a crowd, just another child in need. But now, People saw him for who he really was. Not just a boy from the street, but a brave heart who had protected others. The librarian, kind old man with silver glasses, came to greet them. "Young man," he said to Malik, "you've inspired us. We're starting a safety and reading club here. Will you help lead it?" Malik's eyes widened. "Me, yes," the librarian smiled. "You know what it means to be careful. You've shown great judgment. We want other children to learn from you." Malik turned to Ibrahim. Ibrahim gave him a proud nod. Malik smiled and said, "Okay, I'll do it." And so the club began. Every Saturday morning, children from around the neighborhood came to the library. They sat on small rugs in a circle with books, snacks, and stories. Malik. Read aloud from simple books, sometimes stopping to explain what he had learned. Other times, he taught them how to check food packaging, how to speak up when something didn't feel right, and how to trust the good people around them. Some children came because they were hungry, some came because they were curious. Some stayed because they felt safe. Malik made sure of that. One afternoon, Clara Lee, the health inspector, returned to the neighborhood to check on Benny's snacks. She was pleased to find that the shop was clean, the products were fresh. And Mr. Benny now had a young helper, his teenage niece, who kept a close watch on the dates of food items. Outside the shop, Clara met Ibrahim and Malik. "You've built something real here," she said. "This place feels alive now. Stronger, kinder." Ibrahim thanked her. Malik just smiled, holding his notebook. A few days later, the mayor of the city visited the community. She had heard about the little boy who made a big difference. She asked to meet Malik. When the mayor arrived, the neighborhood gathered around. Cameras clicked and reporters asked questions. Malik felt nervous, but Ibrahim stood behind him, a steady hand on his back. The mayor knelt to meet Malik at eye level. "Young man," she said, "you shouted a warning when no one else did. Because of you, people are safe. I'm proud to know your name." She handed Malik a certificate of honor, along with a small box containing school supplies and books. "We're giving you a scholarship to attend a nearby school," she added. "You deserve the chance to learn as much as you can." Tears welled up in Malik's eyes. He looked at Ibrahim, who simply said, "You earned it." After the mayor left, the neighborhood held a small celebration. Children played music using makeshift drums. Rosa brought out her best cookies. The librarian handed out books. And Malik's sister danced in circles, laughing with joy. That night, as the sun set, Ibrahim and Malik returned to the bench under the tree, the garden behind. Them was green with new leaves. Fireflies danced in the air. Malik held the certificate in his hands. "I never thought someone like me could get something like this," he said quietly. Ibrahim leaned back and looked at the stars appearing one by one. "You didn't just get it," he said. "You grew into it." Malik thought for a moment. "Do you think I can help even more people?" Ibrahim smiled. "I don't think I know." Malik smiled too. He looked at the sky, at the stars, at the tree above them, and he felt full. Full of hope, full of purpose, and full of dreams. And as the city lights flickered in the distance, a boy who once slept beside a trash bin now carried a notebook. Full of plans, a heart full of courage, and a name that echoed with pride through every corner of the neighborhood. He had shouted, "Don't eat that," and it had changed everything. Not just for Ibrahim, not just for his sister, but for a whole community that now believed in second chances. Brave voices and the power of listening. Malik was no longer invisible. He was a leader, he was a friend, and he was exactly what the world needed.